Hello, this is Crystal Racing with the Crystal score for the 2018 Japanese Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton managed to win the race, and my goodness me, I really do feel like I want to go to sleep, but I'm going to do this review. Yes, the two Mercedes dominated throughout the whole weekend because, let's be honest, quite frankly, at this point in time, I actually expect Mercedes to sweep the final four races and pick up and end the season with 6 consecutive 1-2s. That's what I'm expecting, because of course they have a chance to break Ferrari's record of 5 consecutive 1-2s from the back of 2002 when they ended that year. And let's face it, Ferrari have had an absolute disaster this weekend, of course, putting on intermediate tyres for that crucial Q3 session in qualifying completely bent them over. And let's be quite frankly honest, you know, in terms of pace, really, Red Bull had them in their back pocket. Let's go through the scores. Hamilton gets 9 points. You know, he kept moaning and bitching and whining because, quite frankly, let's be honest, he was just trying to just be a twat, really, because, quite frankly, he's bored to death. It's that easy. Valtteri Bottas is absolutely crap, and quite frankly, why on earth Mercedes told him to move over last weekend in Russia, it makes it look really stupid now, because let's be honest here, the championship fight is well and truly done. But let's get on to the next driver, Valtteri Bottas. He gets 8 points. I mean, goodness me, he was getting caught up by Max Verstappen towards the end. I don't know what the fuck he's doing in that car anymore. I mean, honestly, if I had it my own way, I would put Fernando Alonso or Esteban Ocon in that second seat, because he's not going to do... He hasn't got it in him to challenge Lewis Hamilton at all. Third place was Max Verstappen. I mean, goodness me, what on earth was he doing shoving Kimi off the track like he did? It's just stupid, really. Just ridiculous. The kid was very fortunate that he only got a 5-second penalty. And then, of course, there was that collision later, after the safety car at Spoon, where he collided with Vettel. That was Sebastian's fault, by the way, so... And I have to say, after that, Max did drive a good race, although, to be honest, he did lock up a few times. And he didn't. And ultimately, he failed to get past Bottas. So, yeah, that's only 8 points today for young Maxi boy. Daniel Ricciardo is the driver of the day with 10 out of 10. An outstanding drive. Of course, we all heard him scream walking down the pit lane after Q2. The poor bloke was absolutely gutted, but today he more than made up for it with some brilliant overtakes, and unlike one certain German driver, he did not allow his emotions to get the better of him whatsoever. In 5th place was Kimi Raikkonen, who gets 7 points out of 10. Oh dear, and God, it feels like he's just driving around at this point, and I have to say, he's just pretty much counting down the races down to his last ever Ferrari race, isn't he? And I have to say, I mean, goodness me, after, of course, that collision with Verstappen, obviously, without that left-sided barge board, his car, he really had no grip. And Kimi just did what brought the car home, really, at that point, and he just kind of just wasn't really bothered anymore. And then, of course, in 6th place is Sebastian Vettel, who is pretty much once again on the verge of losing the World Championship for a 2nd year in a row. And today, after a dreadful bottle job in Q3, which, of course, the team contributed first in putting both him and Kimi on intermediate tyres, and then, of course, Sebastian Vettel went off the road and ended up down in P9. Sebastian Vettel saw Max Verstappen right in front of him after the safety car, decided, right, let's go for this big manoeuvre. I've got to get those Mercedes. And, of course, in true Sebastian Vettel style, both him and Max went off the road. Quite frankly, how on earth Sebastian kept the car on the road, how he kept it going, I don't know. But for me, he only gets 5 points because he just got into all sorts of trouble today. And to be honest, and apparently I've actually seen a statistic somewhere. Yes, this big statistic. Point standings after 17 races of 2017. Hamilton 331. Vettel 265. Point standings after 17 races of 2018. Hamilton 331. Vettel 264. And of course, well, with the way things are going at Ferrari, I am firmly expecting Mercedes to wrap up both, well, not both titles, but Lewis Hamilton's 5th World Championship by COTA in 2 weeks' time. Let's face it, Ferrari are a complete joke. Sebastian Vettel and Kimi have been making mistakes in order to compensate for the team's inadequacies in terms of organisation, car development, where apparently Danny Kvyat, the team's test driver, told him to revert back to the old specification parts for the bodywork and the mechanical pieces because of the fact that the new development parts are just crap. They don't work at all. So really, I mean, this whole season is just done. And let's be honest, I would not be surprised that by the time we finish the Mexican Grand Prix, Mercedes will probably wrap the Constructors' title up quite early as well. So we have got at least 2 or 3 dead rubber races coming our way at the end of this year. Yeah, it kind of feels like 2015 all over again, folks. I'm really sorry to say that. And then, of course, the winner in Class B today, down in 7th place, was Sergio Perez. Drove a fabulous race after, of course, both him and Ocon struggled in qualifying yesterday. I think only getting P9 and P10 or whatever it was. But today they got the overtakes done, and Perez is slowly mending his reputation just a bit after his antics at Singapore. P8 was Romain Grosjean, who today, unlike his teammate, drove his head, got his overtakes on properly, did not get into trouble, and deserves 9 points out of 10. 9th place is Perez's teammate, Esteban Ocon, who, of course, as we all know, is still hunting for a drive for next season, although, of course, that appears to be becoming less and less likely. He receives 8 points out of 10. A good, decent performance. Of course, he's finished behind his teammate again, but hey, he's a young driver with talent, so let's not knock him too much. 10th place is Carlos Sainz, scoring a point for Renault, who have been really struggling lately in terms of car development. And yes, Carlos Sainz himself has not been driving that particularly well this season, but at least he's showing a bit of consistency to underline why McLaren decided to hire him as their lead driver for 2019. First of the non-point scorers is Pierre Gasly. He receives 8 points out of 10 for his performance as well. Unlucky not to get points, but of course the qualifying effort between him and Hartley was absolutely superb. Gasly got P7, Hartley got P6, but unfortunately, of course, the power deficit and the lack of chassis, lack of grip, lack of the chassis, lack of ability to produce grip from the tyres did cost him on race day. What a shame! And then, of course, P12 was Marcus Ericsson. He had a bit of a scrappy race. He ran into the back of his teammate Charles Leclerc in a safety car restart. Not the cleverest thing, and to be quite frankly honest, considering he crashed out in qualifying, it was actually a pretty good race. But quite frankly, the mistakes he's made over this weekend well and truly prove why the Swede is being dumped by Sauber at the end of this year. He's just not good enough, okay? he can be good, but he's just a bit too much of a dimwit, I'm afraid. 13th was Brendan Hartley, who qualified a career high of P6 in qualifying yesterday, but of course in the race at the start, unfortunately he bogged down too much and he dropped down to P11 at the end of that one. Well, which I am afraid to say this, but I think Brendan Hartley's chances of getting a 2019 drive have all but extinguished. Sorry, Brendan, mate. I know you try hard, but I don't really think you Paul also have a reason to keep you on for anywhere beyond this season. Fernando Alonso, car number 14, finished P14, gone into all sorts of trouble, colliding with Stroll and interfering with the front runners, namely Bottas and Verstappen, and he moaned about how he lost 4 seconds. Fernando, mate, retire now. Please just get out. Honestly, I'd rather see Lando Norris drive your car because you are a waste of space. And let's face it, folks, he only finished a few seconds ahead of P15. His teammate, Stoffel Vandoorne. A bloke who, I mean, he's been thrown under the bus, Stoffel Vandoorne. He's been treated like a ragdoll in a theatre of doom. And of course, that theatre of doom is Team McLaren. Unfortunately, both McLaren drivers only get 6 out of 10 because, quite frankly, I haven't got a clue how good they are anymore. And then, of course, the last 2 finishers, P16 and P17, Sergei Sorokin and Lance Stroll, received 5 points out of 10. I don't give a shit. And then, of course, Leclerc for Sauber gets 7 out of 10. Unlucky when his car broke down. And then, of course, we've got the last 2 runners. Nico Hulkenberg gets non-applicable for his score, meaning that he will not, today's score he receives will not count to his Crystal Score season total average, which I will tot up and then divide by how many races they are eligible to score points from at the end of this season in the end of season Crystal Score review. And finally, Kevin Magnussen gets rejected today and a big 0 out of 10 for his efforts today because the guy is a fucking idiot. What the hell was he doing trying to chop into Leclerc? I will not know. And, well, quite frankly, all he's doing right now is challenging Roman Grosjean for the award of the ultimate banter driver on the F1 grid right now. I mean, we're not going to have, well, we haven't had passed them out in order for a while. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.